the whisper of later is stealing your now. And today, we're going to reclaim it, transforming procrastination into purpose and regret into a life lived fully, starting right where you are. This isn't just about feeling good. It's about activating the profound God-given potential within you. Not someday, but today. We all stand at the crossroads of intention and inaction, don't we? It's a familiar place, isn't it? That nagging, feeling that you're meant for more, that there's a deeper purpose stirring within your spirit. Yet somehow, the days slip by, blending into weeks, then months, leaving behind a subtle, unsettling sense of unfulfillment. You dream of launching that ministry, writing that book, mending that relationship, or simply living with a profound sense of daily peace and alignment. But the perfect moment never arrives. The right motivation remains elusive, and the grand plans stay neatly tucked away in the back of your mind, gathering dust. We tell ourselves we'll start when the kids are older, when the finances are stable, when the fear subsides, when the inspiration strikes. This isn't just a personal struggle, it's a spiritual one, because God designed us not for stagnation, but for dynamic growth and active participation in His kingdom. He doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called, and that calling often begins with a single, intentional step forward, even when the path isn't fully illuminated. It's time to recognize that waiting for ideal conditions is often a subtle form of disobedience, a deferral of the divine assignments placed upon our hearts. The true transformation begins when we stop analyzing every possible outcome and simply begin to move, trusting that God's grace is sufficient for each step. Are you truly ready to break free from the cycle of delay and embrace the vibrant, purposeful life you were created to live? If this resonates with the quiet stirrings of your heart, if you're ready to stop waiting and start doing, then I invite you to join this community. Share your story in the comments below, or simply hit subscribe, and let's walk this path of intentional living together. One of the most persistent obstacles we face is the illusion of time, that deceptive whisper that tells us there's always tomorrow, always another chance. Sarah, a woman in her early 40s, knew this whisper intimately. For years, she felt a profound calling to mentor young women in her church, to share the wisdom she'd gained through her own struggles and triumphs. She had notebooks filled with ideas, outlines for workshops, and even a list of potential mentees. Yet every Monday morning, the same thought would creep in. I'll start next week, when I have more time, when I feel more prepared. The reality was, life never slowed down. Her job as a project manager, her family commitments, the endless stream of daily tasks, they all consumed her, leaving her exhausted and feeling perpetually behind. She'd pray for guidance, for a sign, for a clear path, but the answer wasn't in a grand revelation. It was in the small, consistent actions she kept delaying. The principle of overcoming this obstacle isn't about finding more time. It's about prioritizing what truly matters and then acting on it, even in fragments. It's about understanding that the spiritual harvest comes from consistent planting, not from waiting for a perfect planting season. Just as a gardener doesn't wait for a perfectly clear sky to sow seeds, we cannot wait for a life free of distractions to begin cultivating our purpose. The seeds of our divine calling are often best sown in the fertile soil of our daily lives, amidst the chaos and the mundane. The second formidable obstacle that often paralyzes us is the fear of discomfort, the innate human aversion to stepping outside the familiar and venturing into the unknown. We crave ease, predictability, and the warm embrace of our comfort zones, even when those zones become cages. Think of a young man named Michael, who felt a strong conviction to start a Bible study group for his college peers. He was passionate about his faith, deeply knowledgeable, but the thought of standing in front of even a small group, leading a discussion, and potentially facing questions he couldn't answer, filled him with dread. He procrastinated, making excuses about needing more resources, or a better venue, or waiting until he felt more charismatic. He didn't realize that the very act of leaning into that discomfort was precisely where his spiritual muscles would grow. Here's the surprising revelation. God often calls us to growth not through comfort, but through the very challenges that make us uneasy. Philippians 4:13 tells us, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." And this isn't a promise for easy paths, but for strength through the difficult ones. It's in the stretch, in the awkwardness, in the moments we feel most inadequate, that God's power is most clearly displayed. The application is simple, yet profound. Identify one area where you are avoiding action due to discomfort, and deliberately take a small, intentional step into it today. It might be an uncomfortable conversation, a new responsibility at church, or simply starting that project you've been dreading. This isn't about becoming fearless overnight. It's about choosing courage over convenience, knowing that true progress lies just beyond the edge of what feels easy. This journey of intentional action leads us to a profound spiritual turning point, the realization that motivation doesn't precede action. It is created by it. For too long, we've been conditioned
to believe that we need to feel motivated before we can do something.
But the truth, illuminated by Scripture and countless life experiences, is that consistency in action generates momentum, which then fuels motivation. Think of the prophet Nehemiah, who upon hearing of Jerusalem's broken walls, didn't wait for a surge of emotion or ideal political conditions. He prayed, he planned, and then he acted, rallying the people to rebuild, each person working on their section. They faced opposition, ridicule, and exhaustion, but they pressed on, not because they always felt like it, but because they understood the urgency of the task and the power of collective, consistent effort. This is the central biblical truth. Faith without works is dead, not because works earn salvation, but because genuine faith manifests in tangible action. James 2:17 reminds us of this vital connection. The transformation interiorly begins when we shift our mindset from "I'll do it when I feel like it" to "I'll do it to feel like it." We begin to build a new neural pathway, a new spiritual habit where discipline becomes the bedrock of inspiration. This is where Sarah's story takes a pivotal turn. Frustrated with her endless procrastination, she finally decided to commit to just 1 hour a week for her mentoring project, no matter how she felt. She started with simply outlining one session, then reaching out to one young woman. The momentum, once started, began to build, slowly but surely transforming her internal landscape of doubt into a landscape of purpose. This new perspective, that action begets motivation, offers a liberating truth. You don't have to wait for the perfect feeling to pursue your God-given purpose. You simply need to start. Consider the powerful testimony of an elderly gentleman named Arthur. For decades, Arthur had felt a quiet nudging to volunteer at a local homeless shelter to offer comfort and prayer to those in need. He kept putting it off, citing his age, his mild arthritis, or simply feeling too tired after his daily routines. He waited for a profound spiritual experience, a direct voice from God, to propel him forward. But one Sunday, during a sermon on the parable of the talents, a new realization struck him. God doesn't demand grand gestures. He asks for faithful stewardship of what we have, right now. Arthur decided to show up at the shelter for just 1 hour, once a week, to simply sit and listen. He didn't preach, he just offered a compassionate presence. It was uncomfortable at first, but with each passing week, something remarkable happened. The act of serving, the simple act of showing up, began to fill him with a profound sense of joy and purpose he hadn't experienced in years. His arthritis didn't disappear, but his spirit was renewed. This isn't just about feeling good. It's about aligning with God's will. This principle applies expansively to every area of our lives, our relationships, our health, our finances, our spiritual disciplines. If you've been waiting for motivation to begin reading your Bible daily, or to start a new fitness routine, or to apologize to someone you've wronged, the new perspective is this. Begin the action, even a small one, and watch as motivation and, indeed, God's grace meets you in the doing. So how do we translate this profound truth into practical, daily living? It begins with 3 simple, yet transformative steps. First, embrace the one-step rule. Don't overwhelm yourself with the entire mountain you need to climb. Just focus on taking the very next step. If you want to write a book, don't worry about the whole manuscript. Just commit to writing 1 paragraph today. If you want to deepen your prayer life, don't aim for an hour-long devotion immediately. Just commit to 5 minutes of focused prayer. This small victory builds confidence and momentum. Second, cultivate a discomfort budget. Every single day, intentionally allocate a small amount of time to do something that makes you uncomfortable but aligns with your growth. This could be making that difficult phone call, learning a new skill, or initiating a conversation you've been avoiding. This deliberate practice of stepping outside your comfort zone builds mental and spiritual resilience. Third, practice relentless focus. In a world of endless distractions, choose 1 priority for each day and protect that time fiercely. Turn off notifications, create a sacred space, and dedicate yourself to that one task, knowing that consistent focus on small actions builds an unstoppable force. This renewed vision isn't just about achieving goals, it's about becoming the person God intended you to be, a person of discipline, purpose, and profound impact. It's an invitation to shed the weight of regret and step into a future brimming with the fruit of your intentional choices. As we consolidate this journey, remember that God's desire for you is not a life of stagnation, but one of dynamic, purposeful movement. The unseen tapestry of your future is being woven not by your intentions alone, but by the threads of your daily actions. Each small step you take, each moment you choose discipline over delay, each time you lean into discomfort, you are adding a vibrant, essential thread to that masterpiece. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. It is the main performance, and every day is a fresh opportunity to play your part with passion and purpose. The river of intention, once a trickle of desire, can become a mighty current, carrying you towards the destiny God has purposed for you. Imagine yourself a year from now, looking back at a life where you stopped waiting and started doing. What dreams would you have brought to fruition? What relationships would you have deepened? What impact would you have made? That future is not a distant fantasy. It is the direct result of the choices you make, starting today. So don't let another moment slip away. Don't let the voice of later steal your now. If this message has stirred something within your spirit, if you feel that quiet call to action, then I encourage you to share your own one-step commitment in the comments below. What is one small intentional action you will take today to move closer to your God-given purpose? Your story, your commitment, might be the very inspiration someone else needs to begin their own journey. Let's build a community of purpose-driven believers, supporting and encouraging one another as we step boldly into the abundant life God has planned.